Sarah here from Girls Inc. Today I will be showing you how to make a variety of paper airplanes. After making our planes, we will use steps from the scientific method to determine which plane flies the furthest and what factors we should consider when making paper planes. Let's get started! The first plane we will be making is called the Bulldog Dart. You'll start with a sheet of paper and fold it in half lengthways. Make a nice crease, unfold it. This initial crease is going to help us as a guideline for our next folds. Next, we're going to fold the top two corners down so they meet in the center crease. Flip the plane over and fold the corners down again so that they meet the center crease. We're next going to fold the top point down so that the tip meets the bottom of where we just folded. Next, we're going to fold the entire plane in half in on itself. At this time, I'm going to make sure that all my creases are nice and tight. So just going over them again. This is going to give us the snub nose, giving the plane its actual name. We will next be folding the wings. So imagining a straight line from the tip of the nose, we're going to make a straight line fold. It is a little tricky at the top because it's so thick up here. Just do your best. We'll flip the plane over and do the same fold on the other side. Flip your wings back out, and now you have your finished product. This particular plane will fly better when thrown at lower speeds. I went ahead and added a staple or a paper clip down here to help keep it together. Because if you don't, it kind of opens up like this. So just kind of closing that together. And there you have your first paper plane. Again, the Bulldog Dart. Our next plane is called the Harrier. This one is slightly more advanced than the previous plane with a few more folds, but it will fly better than the Bulldog Dart. So again, starting with a sheet of paper, we will be folding the paper in half lengthwise and then unfolding it. The center line will be just a guide for our future folds. Opening it back up. The next fold will be to fold the top two corners down so that they meet in the center crease. We now will fold the entire top down so it resembles an envelope. You want to make sure you have at least a ½ inch down here at the bottom. So about 1 knuckle's worth of space on the bottom. Our next step will be to fold the top corners in so that they meet in this middle line. There should be a small triangle tail hanging out beneath these folds. So here we still have the small triangle below. We will next be folding this triangle up to hold these folds in place. So this will come up. Like so. We will now be folding this whole thing in half, but make sure you fold it outwards on itself, not inwards. So inwards would be this way. We're gonna flip it over and then fold it. We wanna make sure that the previous triangle that we just made is on the outside. So folding it in half and making sure it's nice and creased. Our last fold will be to make the wings. So you want to make sure that you want to have this edge right here line up with this edge when we fold it. So we're going to fold it down. Flip it over and do the same thing, making this edge line up with this edge when we fold it. So folding down. Here we have our finished product. Again, this one is called the Harrier. Our third and final plane is called the Super Glider. This is what the final product will look like. We will use a regular sheet of paper. Turn it so that the wider sides run horizontally. We're going to fold the top down about 2 inches. Roughly the size of your pinky finger. So once you folded the top part down about 2 inches, we're going to fold it in half. Now with the full part being on the top, we're going to fold our corners down. So folding your top corner down to meet your edge here. We're going to flip and do the same thing on the other side. Now go ahead and move the paper so that the flaps are facing down, and we're going to fold down our wings. And so our wings are going to be, this top part here is going to fold down. You want to leave about 1 inch of room right here. Flip it over. Do the same thing with this side. Now we're going to fold the ends right here upward, about 1.5 inches. Flip it over, fold this end upward, about 1.5 inches. When you open it up, you'll straighten out your wings here, and you'll be adding a paper clip to the nose right here. Here's the final product with the paper clip added, and this one is the Super Glider. Using a few steps from the scientific method, create a hypothesis, test your planes, and draw a conclusion. Here is an example of how to use these steps. First, decide what the question or problem you want answered is. If you like, you can use mine. I want to figure out what airplane designs will fly the furthest. And 2, what effects does weight have on a paper plane? Next, create a hypothesis. A hypothesis is an educated guess to your question or problem. I think the Harrier will fly the furthest because of its sleek design. I think multiple folds and paper clips will have an effect on the airplane because the additional items add more weight, making it harder for the plane to go further. Next, we will create an experiment to test your hypothesis. Make sure when testing each paper plane, you are standing in the same spot and throwing each plane the same way. For my experiment, I will be placing a piece of tape on the floor to mark where to stand, and I will launch each plane twice and mark where they land each time with a post-it note. Observe and analyze. This is where you'll record your data. While doing your experiment, make sure you are writing down what you see and which paper plane is going the furthest. Here's an example of how I recorded my data. So I drew a chart with the blue line representing the tape on the floor. As I threw each paper plane, I marked where they landed on this sheet of paper. I have a key here that tells me what color is represented by each plane. Since I threw my planes twice, each color has either a number 1, indicating the first toss, or a number 2, indicating a second toss. So I have 6 dots on my paper, 2 from each plane thrown. Our final step is to draw a conclusion. Here we will answer our question or solve our original problem. Did your data support or disprove your hypothesis? Explain. Remember, my hypothesis was that I think the Harrier will fly the furthest because of its sleek design, and based on my data, my hypothesis was correct. Now it's your turn. Go ahead and create your own experiment and write down what you think is going to happen. Test out your airplanes and draw a conclusion.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. Hope you guys had a great time. Bye!